recorded.
All right, Shabbat Shalom Aleichem to all that are here today. This is our Shabbat. This is our Shabbat, our seventh day of rest. And we are resting. But while we are resting, we're going to also bring to this planet some more revelations and secrets that have been kept for over 3,000 years. And I think this would be a good time to reveal them, especially now that we're at the end of the world. Just as promised. We're at the end of the world. This world is ending. Regardless of what they're telling you on social media, news media, the journalists of the world, the networks of the internet, you know, the networks, local networks, CNN, NBC, ABC, CBS, TNT, MSNBC, all of those networks, Fox, all of those ones that are telling you to go on in life and prepare to vote for your next president of this United States of America, North America. Even looking forward to 4 more years. As I read earlier this week, if it wasn't yesterday, that someone who's a potential candidate or president of the United States in the future, looking forward to it. He's looking forward to it. He's telling those in the United States, after 4 years, if he gets back in office, you don't have to worry about voting anymore. You won't have to worry about voting anymore. It'll be over. Or whatever he meant by that. It could be prophetical. He may know something that I know. He may know something I know, that this world is coming to an end. Although my speculation is that you won't even have a vote this year. You won't have a vote. I know from 1954 to 2024 is 70 years. That's a mystery. Before I go any further, this for the record of this recording, that way when I declare what day it is, month, time, they'll know that it's recent, it's now. So for the sake of this recording, we have 2 calendars that we're going to identify that coincides with the time that this testimony of evidence of prophecies is being fulfilled. The first, of course, we recognize is our solar calendar. The solar calendar is, of course, governed by the sun of the universe, that you know as S-U-N, solar, sun. And according to our calendar, the sun today is known as the 21st day of the 5th month. The 21st day of the 5th month of our solar year, 6,027 years since Cain was given an opportunity to prove himself righteous, that he would be able to rule this world, the planet. And of course, let's just say he failed. So again, this is the 21st day of the 5th month of our solar year, 6,027, not to be confused with May 21st of that calendar. And at sundown today, which is also our Shabbat. This is our Shabbat, and at sundown will be the 22nd day of our 5th month. And that takes us to their lunar calendar, their Gregorian calendar, that of course is being governed by the moon after midnight. Starts another day, a morning. The lunar calendar, or Gregory the 13th calendar, today is recognized as Sunday. Sunday, July 28th. 2024. Record. Again, today is Sunday on the East Coast of the United States where I'm sitting right now. I am sitting in the United States in the 27th state of that government, this government that's known as Florida. And I'm in the South in Florida. I'm in the South, the largest city and county in the South is known as Miami-Dade County. And spiritually, Florida is also known as the Valley, the land of the Valley. Florida is the only state that sits between two ocean bodies of water and makes it a valley. And that fulfills Psalms chapter 23 of the valley of the shadow of death. This is the valley of the shadow of death. And on the East Coast now, it's like a few minutes or so after 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So it's like 1:15 in the afternoon. So it's sundown today, Sunday, July 28th, 2024 would be Sunday evening to them, but it'll also be, remember, the 22nd day of our 5th month at sundown. And sundown will also be the first day of our week. Right now we're in the 7th day, the Shabbat. Our 7th day this year is being observed from sundown Saturday to sundown Sunday. And then it will rotate after a few more months, like another 5.5 months or so. It's a little bit over, actually a little bit over 6.5 months. We're going to another year. And our 7th day would then rotate. It'll rotate sundown Sunday to sundown Monday. And that year of our time would be 6,028. And it keeps rotating. See, our Sabbath day rotates every 360-day cycle. 360-day cycle, just for the record. Now, with that said, we want to ask you also at this time to break out your study tools. Of course, you know, the most important would be the King James Version, the 1611 King James Version of your Holy Bible, your Strong's Exhaustive Concordance by James Strong, and your synonym finder. We're gonna go to some synonyms today, at least one synonymous word that takes you to another word that's prophetical that we're going to fulfill after we reveal it. So grab a synonym finder if you have one. If not, we're going to share ours with you that we have. Also, grab hold of the dictionary if you have one. A Merriam-Webster's dictionary we found it to be quite suitable, or a collegiate dictionary. That is a good dictionary. Or if you have a computer or a laptop, you can go online to dictionary.com, or you can find some dictionaries online as you search them through Google. That way you will be able to keep up with what we're revealing in definition forms. Set of encyclopedias if you would like to look up some ancient history on what I'm about to reveal. And most importantly, as I always recommend you to do, is to take plenty of notes. Take notes. Grab a utensil, something to write with, something to write on, a notepad, and take plenty of notes. You may want to jot a few of these words down and look them up for yourself. Just what I'm about to reveal. Look it up. You'll see. You're going to find out or discover that everything that I'm about to reveal is absolutely, totally true. With no doubt, true. Now, with that said, this is part 2. This is a continuation, part 2 of our title, which is the title of this is Mary, Merry, Mary Christ Mess. Mary Christ Mess. So sort of similar to Merry Christmas. But that's Mary, Merry, Christ Mess. The Chrisst as it's spelled in English. Although we use a K now, there's no more C. We pronounce Christ now with a K. Merry Christ Mess, Mess. Merry Christ Mess, Mess, Part 2. That's what we're about to share with you and reveal to the world. That's our title. Now, the subject of our testimony today is the rod. The rod, R-O-D. The rod, R-O-D. That is the topic of our testimony today. And we also have a discussion that we're going to share. Of course, it'll be a testimony. So we have a subject, we have the title, the subject. Did I mention the subject is, the topic is what? The rod. Okay, the subject is Smite the Judge of Israel. You got it? Okay. Again, the title is Part 2. The title is Mary Christ Mess, M-E-S-S. The topic is the rod. Is that correct? The rod.
Yeah.
And the subject is Smite the Judge of Israel. Smite the Judge of Israel. And that will explain just a little on why I'm dressed this way with black or blue or purple over black. Most judges of this de facto government wear black robes in court. Well, my robe is purple. And I have black under my purple robe because I'm here for my black people. I'm here for my so-called black people. I'm here judging them. I'm also judging the world. I also have my black people on my bosom. So the black that I have on under my purple robe is close to my bosom. And you're going to find out the mystery on what the bosom is in a few moments. But for now, you should have written down the subject, the topic, the title. Actually, the title, the subject, and the topic, or the subject, the topic, and the subject, right? The title, the topic, and the subject in that order. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with that said, let us for a moment, I'm going to let you hear a recording that was recorded back in 1986 from our ARB. Now, when I say ARB, again, you've been watching my videos and following along with us in these testimonies. And you know by now in Hebrew, Aleph Beth, that's found in your Strong's Concordance on the H1, Aleph Beth from right to left. Aleph Beth means father in Hebrew. So I'm going to show just a little bit, a clip from a 57-minute recording that you'll find on YouTube that coincides with the subject of this testimony, as well as the title. It actually coincides with the title, topic, and the subject. So I'm going to let you hear to a point where most of you do not realize, but that you should realize that although the vessel that you're about to see, the human terrestrial vessel that you're about to see, was not seen after May 7th, Monday, May 7th, 2007. It was not seen any longer on this planet. but it doesn't mean he's not here. In other words, if you want to use layman terms, if you look up to Wikipedia and others of this world, they will tell you that one known as, quote, in English, Yahweh ben Yahweh, end quote, died on Monday, May 7th, 2007. And that's because they recognized him, and some still recognizes him as an ordinary man. But that's what God does. He comes incognito. That's just some of the things that he do. Of course, God can come to the planet anytime he'd like. It's his planet. He created and made it and formed it. And he often did that throughout centuries, thousands of years. He visited this planet incognito as what they thought was an ordinary man. Even Moses visit the planet, come back and forth, in and out, is as he did in the garden. Left a man and a woman in the garden and came right back a few years later. Asked questions that he already knew the answers of to them. But the vessel that you're about to see was once known to this government, especially the judicial system, as, again, I quote, Yahweh ben Yahweh in English from left to right. However, in Hebrew, it was known as Yohed Wavhe. Beth no Sophia Yohed Wavhe, from right to left. Hebrew. So go to YouTube for a moment. It should be there. And let's turn that volume up. And let's see and hear what was said back in 1986 during this time interview, in part. Nice and loud, that should be. Whatever number it's on, whatever minute it is, let it play at that point. We'll fill in the blanks later.
That are words within themselves. Every letter is a word. So when you break down the word baptized, you have B, which follows A, and I am A. Alpha. B follows the series of A. And B is also the word BE, which comes into existence as a result of A. So therefore, John was prophesying about A coming, which is the first in the series. And the second set of the word is APT, meaning apt. Now, to be apt, you have to be, that meant that the man was baptized by John, had to become clever, adroit, sagacious, etc., in the ism of John. That made him an Ift. That's why he was called John the Baptist. See, he too he came to be in the knowledge of Yahweh, and he then subsequently became apt in the ism, which is the dogma and the law of Yahweh. So since John was the one that was the prophet, then the man that was called Jesus was baptized by him. That made him a student and a disciple of John, not the one. And when he attempted to assume the mantle of the one, he began to teach secrets that were not to be taught until the time of the one to come. He was 2,000 years, well, 19 years earlier of his coming. And when he began to reveal the knowledge of who Satan was, John 8:44, when he began to reveal the knowledge of the Son, the knowledge of whose right to rule it was, he could not afford to be left alive. So for breaking the secret, for teaching the secret that he had learned in secret, he was killed for it. And that's why he was hung in his shorts, without any clothes on, because he was initiated in that manner. That's why his collarbone was broken, and his head was hung to the side. See, because that's a sign that all men who study in secret understand quite well. I'm the only one to make that clear.
You see, the Bible, Scripture is the basis.
So yes, I am, and I come in the volume of this book. I have no statements outside of it. I'm the fulfillment of it. In other words, I'm the promised Messiah of the Old Testament, fulfilling the new. That's me. That's why up until this time for 1900 years, he's been promised to come back, knowing full well that I am to come.
The scriptures, if you interpret it that way, foretold the death of a man called Christ. Did you see such an end to you? That you die, be persecuted?
I'm being persecuted.
That you be fatally persecuted?
I cannot be fatally persecuted. I'm incarnate. You can't kill God. It does not matter at all about the vessel that I'm in. I chose to come in, and this physical vessel is totally irrelevant. Totally. I am spirit. I am true, and I'm light. I'm the light. That lighteth all men cometh into the world.
Okay, that was a few minutes, to say the least. And as always, you were only listening to that recording, although the visual is not that clear. So you were only listening to it. I'm going to see if you can hear it through my words as I reveal the secrets. See, I'm no longer 1900 years too early. I said, I am no longer 1900 years too early. And on that note, you can't hear it. You cannot see it with the hair over my ears. But I have a golden and a purple silver ear pod in my ear. It's a it's purple, it's blue, and it's a silver ear pod in the ear that's come from our arm. So that said, I want you to realize and know that what you're about to hear is coming from him. It's coming from John. John, or Yohanan, is A. Yohanan is A, and I am B. And at this time, I am introducing myself to you spiritually as the Christ, his Christ. The image that you just saw in that video is biblically known as John in the Bible. John. Celestially, he's known as the mighty God. That's celestially. Historically, he's known as God Almighty in the Bible. I am his Christ, according to Revelation chapter 12 and verse 10. I am his Christ. That's historically. Biblically, I'm known as the 33rd book, the one responsible as the author of the 33rd book of the King James Version Holy Bible. And that's from the top to the bottom. I'm known as number 33, also known as the book called Micah, Micah the Morsite. That's from the top to the bottom. Now, from the bottom, from the tail to the top, I'm also known as Micah the 33rd book, right in the middle. Although you count from Revelation to Nahum, you get to 33. You get to 33, 34. But you count from Genesis to Micah, you get to 33. 66 books, they say. One's missing. One book is missing. The book that is missing is what I'm presenting to the world today. It's called Yokoso Shubiam. Yokoso Shubiam. It's a name that no one knew. That's the book of Yokoso Shubiam. And I'm going to explain to you as I go along, as I create this book right in your face. I bring the words of the book out in my voice as being printed in your mind. If you did your research and study theology, you'll discover that Micah in the Bible is the same one that's known throughout history as the Christ, also known as Yahshua. It's the same soul. And with that said, I want to remind you that I can do nothing of myself. Whatever I hear, that I speak. I can do nothing of myself, and neither shall and will I speak of myself. I'm going to ask you now to go with me for a moment. I'm going to go to John chapter 5 so I can remind you of this. Let me remind you I'm going to read. I told you, if you don't have a Bible, we're going to assist you with our Bible. If you look on your monitor as I read, I'm reminding you that's what we recorded. I'm actually reciting this, and I'm saying today in English because it's recorded in English, although it's written in Hebraic originally. So John chapter 5 and verse 30. Well, I'll start at verse 19. As I say, verily, verily unto you, verily, verily I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself. You must comprehend that. The Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. And that brings us back to the name Micah. The name Micah means who is like God. However, the name Micah Yahweh, Mem Yod Kaf, Yod Het Vav He, means who is like Yahweh. I mean, my name means, according to my spirit and who I am like God. Likewise. That's what my name means. Who is like God, who is like Yahweh, who is like Yod Het Vav He. Verse 20 says, for the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth. You must comprehend it. I said, verse 20 again, for the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than these that were done back in the 1980s while he was here. The Temple of Love in Miami, Florida, from 1980 to 1990, 10 years. Why? That you may marvel. This is prophetical. That means someone was prophesied to come after my father ascended back up into the mothership and back to our planet. Someone he left here that's known, that he mentioned a moment ago in that video that you saw and were listening to, that is his student that you know today as the Christ. So as he left the planet and left the Son here in Christ, promised the world that the Christ is going to do greater works than when he was here. Mm. And you may want to wonder, well, how is it that the Son can do greater works than the Father? Well, that's easy, because the Father is now dwelling in the flesh of the Son. And that makes it greater itself, that God can come inside of another vessel, a trusted vessel, that you think is a man. And you just heard him say in that video, you can't kill God. So what greater works can the Son? Nothing. I could do nothing of myself. That means what you're about to hear is truly the Father that's doing it through the vessel that you see. You can't kill God. And we're going to prove it, because the Son knew nothing of lifting the serpent by the tail. Neither could the Son take the rod and make it become other than a rod in the hand of Moses. Although the Son is also the hand of Moses. But you don't know that. I said the Son of Nun, known as Yahshua, is also the hand of Moses. And if you go back into your biblical history, you'll find that they traveled together and they walked together. Moshe and Yahshua, the son of Nun. Just as it was, as it is today in Egypt, the spiritual Egypt today. United States of America is a spiritual Egypt and Sodom, according to Revelation chapter 11 and verse 8. So do not get caught up in this flesh that you see, this vessel you're speaking to you right now. Why? Well, for as the Father raises up the dead and quickeneth them, in verse 21, even so the Son quickeneth whom he will. Not the dead. See, the Father raises up the dead. The Son did not raise up the dead. It was the Father who raised up the dead. Why? Because the Son himself was dead. The Son cannot raise himself. So the Father had to come first and raise up the Son. But once the Son is raised by the Father, who raised up the dead, then the Son has the power to quicken whom he will from the dead and among the dead. Why? Well, for the Father judges no man, but hath committed all judgment unto the Son. In verse 22. Why? That all men should honor the Son even as they honor the Father. I say that all men and women, their women, all men and their women should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father which has sent him. So don't lie and say you love Yahweh and don't have respect for me. And don't say you hate me and love the Father. If you do, you are a liar. You are a hypocrite liar. But verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life. You come from everlasting. You have everlasting life, and you cannot die. Anyone who comes from everlasting lives forever. There is no death from everlasting. Death does not exist from everlasting. You come from everlasting into death, but you cannot come from death into everlasting.
Wow.
That's why you have everlasting life. And then those who choose will go to everlasting death, damnation, and shame. Did you hear what I said? I was reminded of this last night by my arm. You come from where I come from. Where I come from. That means you come from everlasting life. You cannot die. And to prove it, then I quickeneth whom I will. Did you hear it?
Yeah.
I quickeneth whom I will. Why? Again, my Father judges no man, for truly I am full of power by the Spirit of my arm, of judgment and of might, to declare unto Israel his transgression, and to Jacob his transgression, and to Judah his transgression, and to all of them their sin. According to Micah chapter 3 and verse 8. Why? Well, why did the Father commit all judgment to the Son? Here's why, that all men should honor the Son even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son, honoreth not the Father which hath sent him. So verily, verily, I say unto you, he that heareth my word and believeth on him that sent me hath everlasting life, and shall not come into condemnation, but is passed from death into life. Don't you see it? That clear before I read it. I'm speaking from my soul, not from what's written or printed. Speaking from my soul. I already know it should be printed. For as the Father hath life in himself, I said, as the Father, as my Ab has life in himself, so hath he given to the Son to have life in himself. My Father have life in himself. He gave me that life to have in myself. And has given him authority to execute judgment also. Why? Because he is the Son of Man. The Son of Man. That means my Ab is also a man. He's not a spook. He's not a spirit. He's existing. So marvel not at this, for the hour is coming in the which all that are in the grave shall hear my voice. And his voice. You just heard his voice on YouTube, the voice. Now you hear my voice, the Son of Man. And when you do, and all shall come forth, even they that have done good. They that have done good shall come forth unto the resurrection of life. Even they that have done evil unto the resurrection of damnation. I promise you that. But keep this in mind also, that I can of my own self do nothing. I repeat, I can of my own self do nothing as I hear. I can do nothing. I mean, I judge, and my judgment is just. Why? Because I seek not mine own will, but the will of my Father, which has sent me. And that was fulfilled in September of 1992. Had I not gone to meet him face to face for the last time in September of 1992, this could not be fulfilled. He would never have sent me. So I had to go meet him so he can send me to fulfill the scripture. So truly I am full of power by his spirit, and who you call Yahweh, Ben Yahweh, is dwelling in this body. He comes to me and reveals things to me, and he puts visions in my head and in my mind. He speaks to me through my celestial earpod. And visions he showed me are cryptic, but they're also literal. They are literal and cryptic at the same time. And only I can figure them out. Now, it's not to bring to your attention the NBA, the National Basketball Association. But he uses things that are happening right now on the planet to communicate with me. And there are a lot of Yehudites, Judah, that dominantly makes up this United States American basketball team, that is supposedly in Paris in the Olympics right now. And it's not that I'm a fan and I'm watching the Olympics, because I am not. I happen to come across a couple of screenshots when I'm surfing through YouTube, and I see them all over the place. Olympics. I'm not watching the Olympics. I want to make that clear. But for some strange reason, realizing now I'm in Miami, and of course the city of Miami in Florida has a National Basketball Association team, a professional team. And they're known as the Miami Heat because it is hot. It is hot here in Miami. And they selected the right name for that, the Miami Heat. If you follow my Facebook timeline, I shared something that was announced last weekend that the hottest day ever recorded on Earth was last weekend. Something like July 21st. The hottest day on record on the planet Earth for it last week. And I was thinking safe to say that that's heat. That would become global heat. But anyway, as I was beginning to share with you and reveal that Miami has its own NBA team. And one of the most popular legends or legendary basketball players, national basketball players of the Miami Heat, is known as Dwayne Wade. Now, I'm not using him as a subject, but he is a topic. He is part of the topic. Remember, the topic is the rod. Is that right? Okay. So as I was resting this body the other night, between Friday night, Saturday morning, my eye put a vision of my mind, my soul, of seeing Dwayne Wade inside the basketball arena here in Miami as I was standing in the tunnel. The same tunnel that the players come out of before they go into the basketball court and sit down on these seats and the benches in the court, the arena. But as the players were out on the basketball court warming up and practicing before the game, as they usually do, Dwayne Wade walked by me in the tunnel. He walked right by me, he walked right past me. And he showed himself. He went out the tunnel and he submerged in the opening where the basketball players would come out and the fans saw him. And when they saw him, they started shouting and screaming and applauding. They stood and gave him a standing ovation. And I'm watching it from his back. I mean, his back is turned to me because I'm watching this, but I could still see the fans standing up and applauding. And all of a sudden, they started chanting, "Come back, Dwayne! Come back, Dwayne! Come back, Dwayne!" It's just one person started, and then it became like a domino of voices. "Come back, Dwayne! Come back, Dwayne!" And he's holding his hands out, and he's giving them his love and blowing his kisses. And suddenly, as he was blowing his kisses and they was applauding, he looked back at me. He looked back at me and he signaled for me to come. Come. I speak the truth. He signaled for me to come. So I walked towards him. And as I walked towards him, I extended my hand out to shake his hand. And when I extended my hand out to shake his hand, he looked at it like, "I don't want to shake your hand." He touched it and said, no. He slapped it and said, "Give me the handshake," like it was a certain handshake. I should know the handshake. This is like what the NBA players do. The handshake. He don't want to shake me. He said, "That's what I want. I want you to give me that." And I said, "Okay." But he slapped it. And when the fans saw he shook my hand, then they started clapping. Everybody clapped. And then boom, the vision went away. I came out of it. And when I came out of it, I lay there for a few seconds and what's that? Knowing, of course, that I personally don't know Dwayne Wade to come over and have dinner. Let's have something to drink. eating. It wasn't the first time I had vision of him. But when I asked a question in my mind, of course, my heart was in my mind. I said, what was that? He said, you figure it out. You figure it out. And when he said, you figure out, he said, because it's time. I said, wow, it's time. Okay. It's time. So I sat there for a moment. I turned on my computer and I started figuring it out. The first thing I had to do, I figured out, was to put the name in the computer. So I went to my computer laptop and I could share it with you. I put in the computer, I typed in Dwayne Wade. So go to the search box on Concordance and type in DWAINE. Right? Space WADE. And when I did that, I realized that Dwayne Wade must be in the Bible. My told me to figure it out. So I figured out. So I clicked on it, and here's what I discovered. I'm going to let you discover it with me. I found Dwayne Wade in the Bible. Just like that. And when I found it just like that, I said, wow, my arm said, figure it out. Then I realized he wasn't telling me to figure it out. He was calling me to figure it out. He called me the figure. He called me Big Tree. And I promised, he said it's time. That means the fig tree. Now you go to the Bible and you got a Bible up there. Go to Matthew chapter 24. You're going to learn the parable of the fig tree. Matthew chapter 24, I believe it's going to be somewhere around verse 32, something like that. It says, now learn a parable. Matthew chapter 24, it's the last days. You doing 24? Yeah. First read verse 3.
And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives.
In fact, I should read that. Yeah. I'm going to read that for the sake of the recording, because I want my voice heard. Remember, this is prophetical. It's a fulfillment of prophecy. Yeah, so you have to hear my voice. So in Matthew chapter 24 and verse 3, it says, and I quote, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, all the lives, old lives, the disciples came unto him privately, as they are now, saying, tell us. So write that down. Us. Tell us. U.S. That's the United States. Tell us, U.S. Right, comma. When shall these things be? It's a question. That's the first question. The second question is, and what shall be the sign of thy coming? That's the second question. The third question is, and of the end of the world. Verse 4 said, and the Christ answered and said unto them, take heed, first of all, take heed that no man deceive you. Take heed that man deceive you. You got it? That means you got to hear this now. Hear the voice. You are not to allow any man to deceive you. That means the only one that you can allow to deceive you will be God. God can deceive you, but not man. Figure that out. See, it's a fig tree. So remember, let no man deceive you, but God is the only one that can deceive you. And he already has. He made you think he was just an ordinary man. He's deceiving now, even after being ascended for over 17 years now. Deceiving him to think that he's just an ordinary man, but yet he's all the time, he's the mighty God. And moving to the subject, he told me to figure it out. In verse 32, correct, it's verse 32. See, now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. And here we are, right in it. Right in the summer, July 28th. Hot. But what is it that would be tender? The branch. So you got to make a note of that. Now you wrote down us. Now you got to write down and make a note of branch. Right? Okay. Make a note of branch. Okay. And now that we have that read, the subject is the rod. Actually, the topic is the rod. The subject is smite the judge of Israel. Is that right? So what's the rod made out of? Staff and a branch. Go back to your search box. So after he said figured out, I came to the conclusion that it's not literal, it's figurative. Dwayne Wade is figurative. It's not literal. So, I mean, now that we have a literal in the search box, we got to figure it out, and we have to type it in figuratively. Figuratively. So what you're going to do now, what you have in the search box, right? You have Dwayne Wade. And he's not the subject now. I'm not speaking of, we're using the words. I don't want him calling and say, because I'm using the name that was given to my people of slavery, because after in a few moments, we're going to wade in the water by the creek from the ship. I mean, I didn't name him Wade. Bob gave me this and said, figure it out. So what you're going to do now is you're going to put a space between the D and the W. You do it correctly. You follow my voice. You're going to have my voice. You put a space between the D and the W, and you're going to put a space between the Y and the N. And you can put a space between the N and the E. You're going to put a space between the W and the A and the D and the E. And if you look very closely, you still have what you think is Dwayne Wade. But what I'm giving you now is figurative. Because I'm going to take you through the door. That if anyone climbed or trying to get through the door some other way, the only way to go through the door to meet my Ab is through me. If any man goes some other way, he's a thief and a robber. And instead of Dwayne Wade coming out with the team, he went through the tunnel by himself. Oh. Tried to come up some other way. And you cannot come no other way through Christianity. You have to come through me. And I pray he's watching this video so he can come to me. I'm in Miami. Look for me. You'll find me. So what you think of Dwayne Wade, you can click on the search box now and you'll see I'm going to take you to John chapter 10. You got to come to me. Everyone else other than a thief and a robber. I told you Dwayne Wade's in the Bible. You got to come through John chapter 10, verse 1. You got to come through John. Because verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold that's already on the court, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber some other way. And as they went on their way, they came into a certain water, up in Acts. Go back. You see it? And as they went on their way, they came into a certain water. It's by a creek. See, that's a certain water. And the eunuch said, see, here is water. What doth hinder me to be baptized with the ism? But the Lord said unto him, go thy way, in Acts chapter 9 and verse 15. For he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. Some other way. So now we must go and see what way that is. That way we must go back now. And see why he didn't want to shake my hand, but he slapped it. At the same time, he was smiting the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. That I left in record. So now go to Micah chapter 5. I left record of this to be fulfilled today. And only, I'm telling you right now, only the soul of Micah the Moabite can do what's about to be done. If you don't believe the first sign, you will believe the latter sign. And if you don't believe I'm Micah, then you have a serious problem, because I'm the very soul of Micah the Moabite, also known as the Christ. Micah chapter 5. I'm going to read it verbatim, so there's no mistake. And verse 1. Micah chapter 5, verse 1. See the word again? The same word in Matthew chapter 24, verse 32. It's right here, Micah chapter 5, verse 1. The first word, now. Now gather thyself in troops, O daughter of troops. O daughter of troops. That's the other O that's missing from the rod. So let's write that down. Write down R-O-D on your paper. And that's from left to right. From left to right. R-O-D. Right? Rod. Now write it down again from left to right. But this time add that O after the other O. From left to right. That means you're going to have R-O-O-D from left to right. Right? Now you're going to write it again, but this time you're going to write it from right to left. From right to left. That means you should have D-O-O-R. Here's the door of the troops. As I continue, he hath laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. So who are they? They are the ones who change the truth of God into a lie. Verse 2 says, Micah chapter 5, verse 2 says, But thou, Bethlaka Mifretah, though thou be little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me. Yet out of thee shall he come forth unto me, that is to be ruler in Israel, whose goings forth have been from of old, from everlasting, and from everlasting life. You got it? Okay. So what's the rod? Where's this rod? This rod belongs to the Son of Man. Go back now for a moment. Go to John chapter 3. Remember John? John was in the video. John the Baptist. John the Baptist. I'm going to start at verse 11. John chapter 3, verse 11. Verily, verily, I say unto thee, we speak that we do know. We speak that we do know. That we is my Ab and myself. That means we speak that we do know and testify that we have seen, and you receive not our witness. If I have told you earthly things and you believe not, how shall you believe if I tell you of heavenly things that I'm about to do in the wilderness? You don't believe the earthly things. So that I've told you. So how are you going to believe the heavenly things? And keep in mind, no man hath ascended up into heaven. No man. But he that came down from heaven, which is not a man. It tells you right there, you have never read this, but you read it, looking at it, but you don't know. That's why I say, let no man deceive you. Because it wasn't a man who went up. It's God. I said, and no man hath ascended up into heaven. No man. It wasn't a man when he ascended up on May 7th, 2007, as well as January of 1992. He wasn't a man. But he that came down from heaven, even the Son of Man, which is in heaven. That means I've never left. I was always in heaven. I'm in heaven now. I'm in heaven now, and my Ab is in heaven. I come from him. We are both in heaven right now. You want to go? You most certainly have to be an angel of Yodewave to go where I'm going. And see, verse 14, and as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. And you must make a mess of that. MESS. I'm going to read to verse 17. That whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have eternal life. You could have eternal life, but that's not the life that you want. Because right now you have eternal life. You are internal, not everlasting. You could be satisfied if you like to, but just have an eternal life. But I guarantee you're going to die. You don't know that because no one ever told you that before. It was a secret. I am revealing secrets today. I told you, I'm no longer 2,000 years, but 1,900 years too early. So enjoy your eternal life while you can. Because you don't believe. You can't believe the heavenly things. So as long as you try to hold on to the earthly things, and you have eternal life. It's internal. What's internal? The love that they extended for one another, the love they taught one another. That's internal life. That's internal. Internal life, they even sells you internal life insurance. It's of the government. Internal. It's internal. Why? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. So you have a choice. Either you are satisfied with internal life or you want everlasting life. And everlasting life comes from everlasting. You cannot die. Verse 17 says, for God sent not his son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. Might be saved. I mean, all the world is not going to be saved. If the world, if it didn't have might there, if that just read, but the world through him be saved, then the world would not come to an end. But the world is coming to an end. That's why it might be saved, because everyone's not coming to the Son. Just like you're watching now and say, you can't be another son. You was born over town Miami. I went to school with you. Who do you think you is, Charles? You think I'm a man? The subject is in verse 14. That's coming from Micah chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. But how? Through the mess that you made. You made a mess. Merry Christ mess. They have you think it's Merry Christmas. The Christ was born on December 25th anyway. The Christ was conceived on December 25th. And then 40 weeks later, 40 weeks from December 6th, count them. And you get the right calendar, the right time, even with the Immaculate Conception and the time for the egg to fertilize itself in the embryo, the seed. You do the right calculation, you come to sundown, September 26th, 1954. From 1953, December, 40 weeks. Sundown, September 26th, 1954, which is the same as the Feast of Tabernacles at sundown. Right? Which is the 15th day of the 7th month. That's when the Christ was born. But he came out the womb on the 15th day of the 7th month. Same as the Feast of Tabernacles. So if you're looking for the Christ, go find who you think is a man. Go find Shiloh. Shiloh is the same as the lawgiver. The lawgiver came out of a womb on the 7th month, 15th day. 7th month, 15th day. Feast of Tabernacles. See, the tabernacle of God is with man. That's in the Bible, Revelation. The tabernacle of God, man. You can't go into the tabernacle comes to you. And there's a group of my people, camps all over the country today, looking to have the Feast of Tabernacles come up in September, robbing my people through the wrong door. Robbing my people with Dwayne Wade. Wade in the water. I'm revealing secrets. The rod. Do you see verse 14 again? John 3, verse 14. And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. So how would Moses lift up? The rod. Go to it. Go to Exodus now, chapter 3. Go to Exodus chapter 3. We are now living in the days of Egypt, as my people, Yehuda, must be delivered. Just as the children of Israel were delivered out of Egypt over 3,500 years ago. They must be delivered. Judah must be delivered today. This is the day of deliverance. Exodus chapter 3, verse 1 says, and I quote, now Moses. You have it? See now again? See, all these secrets are being revealed now. And most of the scriptures I'm going to read begin with now. So you'll know what time it is. Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the backside of the desert. and came to the mount of God, even to Horeb. And the angel appeared to him first. The angel appeared first. Angel of the Lord appeared to him first in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire. The bush was not consumed, not made out of that type of material. It wasn't. It's called a space. NORAD States, the United States of Canada calls them UFOs. NORAD of the United States and Canada calls this burning bush a UFO. That's why we're not consumed. And Moses said, I will now turn aside. See now again? I will now turn aside. And he did. Moab turned aside. And he left the sun here now. And see this great sight. Why the bush is not burnt? Because it's made out of a material, of a metal that you cannot consume with fire. You cannot destroy. And when the Lord saw that, he turned aside to see. See, both were there. The Father, the angel, the God, they was both there. So when the Lord saw that, he turned to see from the outside, trying to look inside. God called into him on a microphone out of the midst of the bush. Got on the microphone and said, Moshe. Moshe. And as Moshe looked around, where's that coming from? See, had he knew where it was coming from, he wouldn't have had to say, here am I. He would look right at the ship. I'm right here. Looking around, Moshe. He's like, where's this voice coming from? Moshe. I mean, here am I. This is verse 4. Come closer. Draw not nigh hither, but come a little, but don't come any further. In fact, put off thy shoes. Put off thy shoes off thy feet. You come in the carpet. And leave them outside. And give them some foot covers. Put off thy shoes, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I'm the God. See, I'm the God, thy father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And Moses hid his face, for he was afraid to put in God. Look at this spaceship. And the Lord said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, to know their sorrows. And I'll come down to get you. I went back into my secret closet and put back on my holy robe that I took off to come to get you. And here it is in Exodus chapter 3, verse 8. And I came down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians. It's not the first time he came down this past 40 years. Not the first. And to bring them up out of the land into a good land, and a large, unto and flowing with milk and honey, in place of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is coming to me. And I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Verse 10, come now, therefore, come. And I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of the United States of America, spiritually known as Egypt. And Moshe said unto God, who am I, that I should go to Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? That don't seem like something that he would say. That's not something that he said. That looks like a question to me. It says that Moses said. Why come it's a question? That's because Moses would never question God.
Right.
Can't question himself. That's why he said it. He came to Miami in 1979 as Moses. So how could Moses question God? Question himself. He said it. And that's not a who am I either. That's one. Who is the one that appointed the rod? But you don't know that until I reveal it. That's why who is there. It had nothing to do with what Moses said. Who is the one that appointed the rod? And the name. And he shall see thy name. Who? Me. I'm going to show you. And he said in verse 12, certainly I will be with thee. One will be with thee. And this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee when thou hast brought forth the children of Egypt, the people out of Egypt, brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain, this government. And Moses said unto God, he said, oh, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers has sent me unto you, and they shall say to me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? That's not a statement. Why you put a question there? That's why he didn't come to them as God. He came to them as Moses because they wouldn't believe him. It took a precept. He came to him by precept. You think he's going to come in 1979 and say, I'm God. I'm Yahweh. No, they wouldn't believe it. That's why he is that I am. And that's why I am that I am. In verse 14, I have to say it. It's there. It's already in verse 14. He is that he is, I am that I am. So who sent? Who sent me to you? I am he that sent, and I am that I am. Right in Miami. M-I-A-M-I. The same one who applied. Who? And God said to Moses, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, has sent me unto you. He sent me unto you. Who did he send? Exactly, me. Who? This is the same forever. See? Micah. And this is my memorial unto all generations. So you didn't know that the name was hidden in verse 15. It had nothing to do with 14. The name was hidden in verse 15 where it said me. He sent me unto you. I'm going to show you in a minute. Who? Who is me? Me is the one who appointed the rod and made a mess of it. So go and gather the elders of Israel and say unto them, the Lord God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob, appeared to me, saying, I have surely visited you and seen that which is done to you in Egypt. And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Amorites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall hearken to thy voice, and thou shalt come, thou and the elders of Israel, unto the king of Egypt, the president of the United States, in September of 2022. You shall go to Washington, D.C., and you shall go to the White House, you and your elders. And you will tell them what God of the Hebrews has met with us from 1979 to 2007. And now let us go. Let us go. We beseech thee, 3 days' journey into the wilderness, that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God, Yod Yahweh. But Ma'ab is so sure, S-U-R-E, I am sure, and I am sure that the king of Egypt will not let you go. No, not by a mighty hand. He will not do it. He would ignore your letters. He would ignore your posts that you post on Facebook.
This is prophecy, baby.
I will do all kind of catastrophes on the planet and the United States, and he will not let you go. Why? Because he don't believe.
Asia to Europe.
He will not let you go.
This letter is for
And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And I will stretch out my hand and smite Egypt with all my wonders, which he did, which I will do in the midst of thereof. And after that, he will let you go, but not before. It's coming. And I will give this people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. And it shall come to pass that when ye go, ye shall not go empty. But every woman shall borrow of her neighbor and of her sojourners in her house of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. Ye shall put them upon your sons and upon your daughters, and ye shall spoil the Egyptians. Go to the next chapter 4. In John chapter 5, it said that the son must be lifted up as the serpent was lifted up. Didn't it? Exodus chapter 4, verse 1, as I continue, says, and Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken to my voice. For they will say, Yahweh did not send you, and Yahweh did not appear to you, Micah. The Lord has not appeared unto thee. Why are you coming to us with this lie? Why are you coming to us? Who gave you permission to do this? You know, Yahweh did not come to you and tell you nothing. You wouldn't even have visitors under the onerous rule of the United States government. So how is it you were able to see Yahweh? And the Lord said to him in verse 2, what is it? What is that in thy hand? He said, a rod. Don't forget, speaking to Moses, that means the rod came with Moses.
Yeah.
The angel gave the rod to Moses. See, because Moses didn't have a rod while he was with the flock of Jethro. He was using a staff. What? He was using staff, not a rod. Go to Concordance online and go to H7626. Or actually type in rod in the box. And rod. Now look for in fact, I'll tell you what scripture to go to. See the rod? If you go, the first place to see the rod is in chapter 2. Chapter 4 of Exodus, chapter 2. That's the subject right now. How come that's the first? See, had he had a rod with the flock, it would have been in chapter 3 in verse 1. He wasn't using the rod. That rod is not what you think it is. Go to, you'll find it under Job. Go to Job. Actually, go to 2 Samuel chapter. See, the scriptures were segmented to coincide with the sun. You got it?
Yeah.
So when you go to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, it tells you that what? The Christ is coming?
Yeah.
Go to Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 for a moment. All right. Isaiah 7:14. I'm going to read that. That way you know it's being fulfilled today. Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14 says, and I quote, "Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign." Now you're going to write that down. Write down himself as a note. Himself. "Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign." Semicolon, "Behold, comma, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." End quote. Notice that this verse did not say she would give a son. She said bear. It says bear. Show me it says born. This virgin has nothing to do with a woman, but that's another subject. But this is Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14, right? Now go to 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14. This is the same son, the rod. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 14. See 7:14. And that says, you got it? It says, "I will be his father, and he shall be my son," period. Let's see that that one is God. That's the mighty God. "If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men."
Wow.
And he did in April of 1985. It's right there. All prophetical. That's why my op had to do it. That's why I had to undergo that in April of 1985 in the temple. He chastened with the rod. This rod is found under the Hebrew word Shebet. Shebet. That's Strong's Concordance H7626. Shebet. And that's from right to left. Sheen, Beth, Teth. From right to left. Sheen, Beth, Teth. Shebet. With no etymology, and that means the rod. It also means the scepter, the mark of authority that will not depart from Yehuda. Now we're right back in the Genesis chapter 49, the last days. You got it? It's also known as an offshoot. This rod is also known as the branch. You're going to make a note of that branch. Remember his branch is tender? Now we're right back at Matthew chapter 25, chapter 24, verse 32. His branch is yet tender. Here's the branch, the same as a rod. You got it? This rod is synonymous to branch. Remember, no etymology. It's the mark of authority. This rod is also known as the branch. This is not the staff. Now go to Jeremiah chapter 23. It's the same. Jeremiah chapter 23. Now we went from rod to branch. The last days, preserve, I'm revealing secrets. (23) verse 1. Woe, woe, be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, said the Lord. Therefore, thus said the Lord God of Israel, against the pastors that feed my people with lies and deception, ye have my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Lord. And I will gather the remnant of my flock out of all countries whither I have driven them, and will bring them again to the hills, and they shall be fruitful and increase. Verse 4. And set up shepherds over them, which shall feed them, and they shall fear no more, nor be dismayed, neither shall they be lacking, saith the Lord. Behold, the days come, and now is, saith the Lord, that I will raise unto David a righteous branch, the rod, under H76:26. And a king shall reign and prosper, and shall execute judgment and justice in the earth. The Father judges no man, but gave all judgment to the rod, the branch. In his days, Judah shall be saved, not Israel. That means Judah must be in a position that all of Israel was in when the rod was in Egypt over 3,500 years ago. And Israel shall dwell safely. And this is his name whereby he shall be called. Really? The Lord our righteousness, in all caps. Is that a name? The reason why they put that there is because they didn't know the name. They didn't see the name. In Revelation chapter 19, verse 12, they didn't know the name. I just gave it to you at the beginning of his testimony. And after that, in verse 7, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. Verse 8, but the Lord liveth, the same Lord liveth, and cannot die, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the North American country of the United States of America, and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. Go back now to Exodus chapter 4. I'm bringing to your attention that Moshe did not have a rod when he had Jethro's flock. He used a staff. Now, to prove it, go to your strong box for a moment, the search box, and type in H4294. This staff, the same staff in Psalm chapter 23. You typed in the letters, right? Or you can just go to staff. Type in staff in the search box. It'll be easier. Type in staff, S-T-A-F-F, like some at the sports arenas may have on their shirt in the back, staff. All right? You have the first one staff is 4294, isn't it? The second one. Click on 4294. Right? And what's it? What'll it take you to? It takes you to the Hebrew word matah, right? Mem, Teth, Hey, from right to left. Mem, Teth, Hey, Meta. And it means what? The last one, a company led by chief with staff only. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's not that for etymology. Etymology means to stretch out, to spread out. Pitch your tent. You want the one for the first one, 4294H, Hebrew. All right, that's what you want.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you go back to Exodus chapter 4. I believe we left off at verse 1. I'm going to read verse 1 again. Verse 1 says, and I quote, and Moses answered and said, but behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken to my voice, for they will say, the Lord hath not appeared unto thee. Verse 2, and the Lord said unto him, what is it? What is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. In verse 3, and he said, cast it on the ground. and he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moses fled from before it. Verse 4, the Lord said to Moses, put forth, see, in verse 3, don't you see that between verse 2 and verse 4, the Lord disappeared in verse 3? I mean, when whatever was in his hand, when it was cast down, or actually when it was cast on the ground, it became a serpent. What was cast on the ground? It was cast on the ground. Was it the rod? It was cast on the ground. So when it was cast on the ground, people begin to smite it. They begin to smite the rod. They begin to smite the judge with the rod upon the cheek. Pause here for a moment. Go to Micah chapter 5 now for a moment. You're going to go back and forth. Revealing the secrets. Micah chapter 5. And verse 1. Here we are again now. Did we read this one yet? No, we did not. Did we? Yeah, we read this earlier because we got now. Verse 1, Micah chapter 5. Again, now gather thyself in troops, or daughter of troops. He had laid siege against us. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. It's the same rod. And we're going to prove it. The same rod. But who's the judge of Israel? The same one who wrote this scripture, this prophecy. That's proven in chapter 3, verse 8. The judgment. Not only that, we read it in John chapter 5, didn't we? Gave all judgment to the Son. Okay. So now with that said, we have the cheek. You see cheek. C-H-E-E-K. Well, how come the H is there? How come it's not creek? They're going to smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. Go to smite. We got smite there, right? Go in your search box and look up smite. This smite is taken from H 52:21. Do you have it? Okay. You have it? Under the Hebrew word known as nakah. Nakah. Nun, kaf, hey, from right to left. Right? Nun, kaf, hey. Nun, kaf, hey. Nakah. No etymology. It means what? To kill, to smite. That's what you see, right? But what you do not see is what? What you do not see? You don't see clap. Look at number 1. See what it says? To smite, strike, beat, scourge, and clap, and applaud. That's what they were doing when Dwayne Wade walked out.
Wow. The smite.
He said he want to shake my hand. He wanted me to strike it. He wanted to clap.
Wow.
They want to shake it. Want to clap. Right? You got clap. Okay, we come on, revealing secrets. They also having to punish and destroy. And to be smitten. Now go to Psalms chapter 47. Psalm chapter 47. Now you got synonymous. I tell you, you're going to need synonymous. Clap. And look at verse 1. I'm going to read that. Psalm chapter 47, verse 1. You have it? That says, "Oh, clap your hands, all ye people. Shout unto God with the voice of triumph." This word clap in English in Psalm chapter 47, verse 1 comes from the Hebrew word known as tekah. Under H8628. And it means what? To clap, strike, to give a blow, and to strike or clap hands. And he don't want me to shake it. He wanted to clap it and slap it. See right here? To be blown. You see it?
Yeah.
So this clap came from Micah chapter 5. If you look up there and you'll see a dictionary open, Merriam-Webster's. I told you to break out your synonym finder earlier. Now go to that dictionary. I have a synonymous word up there known as clap. Right?
Okay.
Now you stroll down, you may see smite. They shall smite the judge of Israel with a rod upon the cheek. It's clap. It's a cheek. Why slap him on the cheek? It's not literal. Because Christ is soft-hearted, passionate. He loves his people. You think this slapping is aggressive or punishment? It's not. It's an allegory for the softness the judge of Israel will have for his people, Judah. And this rod, you thought was rod. He's the rod. This rod is a mess that you made. That this is the same rod you was used to lift him up with. And when you think he is being punished, is the opposite. They give you the opposite. See? It's the opposite. Here's the planet. But you can't read that. Why? Because you're reading from right to left. You're reading from left to right. See, this is from left to right. That's from right to left. The whole world is upside down, backwards. Whole world upside down. So when you thought that they smiting him, they're lifting him. Soft. Upon the cheek. You think his cheek. What happened to the creek? You made a mess of it. You should be making a mess of it. You got cheek. What you have? Where you at now?
Merriam-Webster's. We found a synonymous word.
And you
clap is,
and you saw it.
yeah.
Okay, make a note. I also told you to write down something else just now, didn't I? Which you wrote down? What's the last note you wrote down? He had to keep a note of himself. He wrote down himself.
Yeah.
Right? Right. Okay. So now you know this cheek. When you find this cheek in your studies, you'll find out that it also, although it has the cheek of man, or they even say it's under H3895, it represents softness. And if you look in the Strong's definitions under that, go to H3895, and under the definition, you see it says the softness, to be soft. The Christ is soft. Do you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. From an unusual meaning to soft. Not a literal slap. You can come try it. Just don't stand under the tree when you do. Right? This is Rob. We still in Exodus chapter 4. I'm revealing secrets. I'm revealing secrets. Connecting it to Micah chapter 5, verse 1. So you have smite. And we did smite. Comes back to clap.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you also know that it's connected to something else? I want you to write this word down. Write this word down. Write down sure. Sure. And then write down ship. S-H-I-P. You got it? Now you have sure ship. How you write it? Tell you what, go to the search box. You got a search box. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Follow my instructions now. Type in S-U-R-E. S-H-O-R-E. Sure. Is that how you write down sure? Sure.
Yeah.
I hope you wrote down sure like that. How'd you write down sure? Oh, some wrote down S-U-R-E.
Yeah.
Okay, go back. Go back. You have S-U-R-E. Okay. Now write down C-E, write down T-I. Right next to it, T-I. You have it?
Yeah.
Now right next to the I, write down S-H-I-P. You got it?
Yeah.
Now, if you're correct, tell what you have again.
SURETISHIP.
Tell me to write down S-H-O-R-E. You got unsure. Spell it again. What you have?
SURETISHIP. S-H-I-P.
Write down IT. Switch the IT around. So you have S-U-R-E, I-T, S-I-P, right?
Okay.
Click on it. Let's see if you're correct. Was upside down. You're making a mess. You're making a mess. What you have?
0 times.
0 times. Somebody's wrong. Something's wrong. You're supposed to be smiting the judge of Israel a rod upon the cheek. Clap your hand. Smite. Go back to your search box. Call off to me what you have again.
S-U-R-E-I-T-S-H-I-P.
Okay, see, separate the E from the I and the T from the S. What you got? Sure it chip.
Yeah.
That's what you should have,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Click on that. There's somebody wrong. Now how many times that is?
0 times.
No, something's wrong. You must not be doing something right. Something's wrong. Something's upside down. We're gonna try it this way. Okay, let's try it this way. Let's try. We'll go back to your search box. Let's try it one more. Tell me what you got again.
Short ship.
What you have, spell it what you got.
S-U-R-E space I-T space S-H-I-P.
Okay. After the E, put the T there, and then the I. And then keep it all together as one word. Keep it all together as one word.
Yeah.
You got it? Show tell me, I can't see. You got to tell me what you have.
S-U-R-E-T-I-S-H-I-P.
Now, you know there's no such word as that in the Bible. Why y'all playing with me like that? I'm revealing. I am no longer 2,000 years or 1,900 years too early. I'm revealing secrets. So let me show you one of the secrets. Click on that. Let's see if we have a thing. Here's one of the secrets that I've been holding for over 2,000 years. Here's a secret. Smite the rod of Israel. Smite the judge of Israel, the rod upon the cheek. How many times do you see it up there now? How many times do you see it?
1 time.
One time. I'm revealing secrets. You know there's no such word. Yeah, of course you saw this before. If you've seen it before, it couldn't be a secret. If you think that's a secret, wait until you see the meaning of this as you smite the judge of Israel a rod upon the cheek. You made a mess of it. Click on it and see what you take. Click on it. Click on it and see where it takes you. H8628. Be shocked where it takes you. You're going to do what? And read the meaning. It takes you right back to Psalms chapter 4. Clap your hands. Smite the judge of Israel a rod upon the cheek. Thrust him through. Strike him. Give him a blow. To strike or pledge oneself. See, this was by me, and I pledged myself that I'm going to see a rod and a to myself and see the name mess that you made. I hid the mess. I hid the name and the mess you made that they made and left out the H. See, I'm going to show you the mess they made. Like this, when it should have been like this, but they left out. But they left out the H Why? Because it's hell. And here's hell. All that land. Oh. Moses purple too. So you have thrust. That come now. Go back to your search bar. A word that don't exist. How you pronounce it? Shorty ship. Ship, right? Now go back to your search box. Separate the E from the T again and the I from the S. And what you got?
Short T.
How many times?
Zero time.
Huh?
Zero time.
Wow, something's wrong. What's the first word? You spelled it, didn't you? What's the first word?
Sure.
That's not sure. That's not sure. You have S-H-O-R-E? What's S-H-O-R-E?
Sure.
Okay, well, what you have? S-U-R-E?
Yeah.
What's that?
Sure.
Are you sure? Type in S-H-O-R-E in the search box. You have S-H-O-R-E?
Yeah.
You should have T-I? You have put it back. Put it back. Huh? And put T-I, put I-T, it. Not, right? And then put ship. Let's see if we can get ashore some kind of way on a ship. Let's see if we can get to Acts chapter 27. Go type that in, what you have. See, this is a relationship. It's not the ship that you think. It's a relationship, partnership, a membership, a kingship. You have Acts chapter 27, and verse 39. You ain't gonna get it with S-U-R-E. I believe it says, I'm gonna quote, and when it was day, they knew not the land, but they discovered a certain creek. Look at creek, you thought it was cheek. Secrets. You gotta shake your head. And when it was day, they knew not the land, but they discovered a certain creek with a shore, into the which they were minded, if it were possible to thrust it in the ship. Now you got the thrust right there from smiting and the slapping. You also got sure that you thought was S-U-R-E, and you have the creek that you thought was cheek, right? So are you sure? This shore is in the east coast of the United States, called the Florida Coast Atlantic Ocean shore of Florida. It's hidden on the G-123, 12. It's by the seashore where you have to meet me. Now, when you go back, go back out your search box. Now that you have creek, you thought it was cheek. I'm not interested in the softness. We want the creek. It was. How many times you got your search box?
Yeah.
Just type in C-R-E-E-K and see how many times this creek popped up. That was a secret. How many times you see creek from cheek? They took out the H. It's the R of this. It's creek. One time you have got to be, and you know what this is? To write it down earlier, your bosom. I want you got your bosom. Rocking my soul in the bosom of Abraham. It's my bosom. I have to put all of you in my bosom as you clap your hands that made a mess. This is from the rod. You got to lift up the serpent, just as the rod was the serpent lifted up the wilderness by Moses. Click on it and see what you got on the creek. You should have G2859. No etymology. And what does it mean? You checked on it? The front of the body between the arms? It's the bosom. So you see the second, the bosom of a garment. Why do you think of this today? The hollow form by the upper forepart of a rather loose garment bound by a girdle or sash, used for keeping and carrying things, the fold or pocket. And where is it? A Bay of the Sea by Bayside, January 1st, 2024. Bayside, Miami, where my celestial beings came down and walked around to show our presence at Bayside. That's your creek. There's no cheat. Are you getting this?
Yeah.
We still not go back to Exodus chapter 4. This is and let's look at that. Exodus chapter 4. Verse 3. And the Lord said to him in verse 2, what is it? And the Lord said unto him, what is that in thine hand? And he said, a rod. Now I just took that rod and I'm telling you what it is, a man. Because there's no one in verse 3 to tell you that. See, because he said, cast it to the ground, and I did. I cast it to the ground, right? And it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it because he's not here now. So now I took that serpent, the same serpent that I hid, and get 49 with Dan, and he read for you in Amos chapter 5 that you run from a bear and a lion. You run from a lion and a bear met you. And then you flee from the bear and you're laying your hand on the wall and a serpent bit you. But here it is. That's verse 3. And he said again, cast it on the ground. He said cast it onto the ground. And he said, cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground. And it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. You think the serpent is bad? I told you, this is not the bad serpent. In verse 4, the Lord said to Moses, put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Quote, catch it by the tail, Judah. Now he come out of Judah. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, let's see. Catch it by the tail, what you think is the serpent. That's the minds of my people today, the serpent-minded people. This serpent symbolizes the mind. Didn't I just show you the meaning and it was it mind? This serpent represents the mind, the serpent mentality that my people of Judah have today while they're in Egypt, spiritual Egypt, in bondage. What do you have? Look at verse. I'm going to read it. I'm going to look at verse. I'm going to read verse 1. Here's a promise. This is good stuff. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. That's all he had to do. Hearken, obey the voice, obey the commandments. Verse 13 says, and the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail, serpent. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath, if that thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them. That's verse 13. Did they do it? No. After verse 15, here come the if and the but. Right? So what did they do? They were cursed. After verse 15, verse 16 starts the curse. And as they were cursed, Judah. In verse 36, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee in voting. At the voting polls, he put a man over you for, whether it be Republican or Democratic, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known how to vote. And there shalt thou serve other gods in the Republican and the Democratic parties, mayors and the governors, wood and stone. Verse 37, thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, colored, and a byword, black people, African Americans, coon, jigs, among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. 41, thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them. Why? For they shall go into captivity and slavery. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locusts consume. This made a mess. You should have made a mess. Verse 44, verse 43. The stranger that is within thee shall get up high, shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Verse 44, why? He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. Borrow money, loan companies. Hey man, you got $1 I can borrow till next week? I want to take out a loan. I'll put my up for collateral. I want a car. I want something for collateral. Just need a loan, man. Mortgage, first mortgage. Need a loan. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail of the serpent, of the rod. You got it? In fact, the only people that ever suffered, verse 45, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed. Why? Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. And verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck of slavery, and around thy wrists and thy ankles, until he have destroyed thee. And the Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, as whose tongue of English descent and English vocabulary thou shalt not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. And in verse 67, actually verse 68, the last verse, and the Lord himself, the Lord, shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Welcome to America. You're in America now, slavery. Why? Because you didn't make a mess. Go back to now Exodus chapter 4. You didn't lift up the serpent. So you didn't lift up the sun. You ran from before it. See, Moses ran. He said he didn't want nothing to do with you. That's what I see here. In verse 4. Actually, verse 3 of Exodus chapter 4. And he said, cast it on the ground. And I just read it to you where it was cast on the ground. Deuteronomy chapter 28. And it became a serpent. And Moses fled from before it. And then the Lord said to Moses, put forth thine hand and take it by the tail. Put forth his hand and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. Took by the tail, why? To the bottom. That means you're writing from the bottom to the top. You You should be writing from the top to the bottom, but you're writing from left to right by the tail. And that's why you're backwards now. That's why you think it's a mess. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes.
Why, the rod, you must need to be born. Go back for a moment to John chapter 5. John chapter 5.
Yeah.
And let me explain something to you so you know what I'm about to reveal, because we'll this in a minute. But in John chapter 5, verse 17, I worketh hitherto, and I work. And that's why he sought to kill me. I remind you in verse 19, verily, verily, I say unto you, the Son can do nothing of himself, but what he seeth the Father do. For what things soever he doeth, these also doeth the Son likewise. For the Father loveth the Son, and showeth him all things that himself doeth, and he will show him greater works than these, that ye may marvel. For the Father raises up the dead, and quicketh them, even so the Son quicketh him whom he will. For the Father judges no man, but all judgment to the Son. That all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honor not the Son, honor not the Father which has sent him. Now I go to John chapter 3. As a reminder, we're reiterating as a synopsis as we continue and get ready to close in a few moments. John chapter 3, verse 14. And as Moses, you have it?
Yeah.
And as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. What do you think the most powerful word in that verse is for the last days? And your thoughts? It corresponds with where you are today. The most powerful word.
Well, there's a lot.
Write it down in your book. I'm going to tell you what that down. So you have to write it from left to right. From left to right. M-U-S-T. Must. It's not requiring you that the Son should be. It says the Son, even so must the Son of Man be lifted up. That's a must. See, the world will not end unless this must comes to pass. That's why I must do it today, so the world can end. It must. It must be done. And only the Son can do it. My Ab didn't do it because he left the greater works for himself to do later as he dwells in his body. So now go to your search box and type in must. Why does must happen? Must. When you have it, when you find it, you're going to discover in your Bible, in your strong concordance, that the English word that you know is must, M-U-S-T, is found printed 132 times.
Yeah.
And it's found in 126 verses in the King James Version Holy Bible. You see it?
Yeah.
And out of those 132 times, or the 126 verses that this word is found in, I had apparently some twice, some verses. Not once is there a meaning in Hebrew for must. Not once. The only thing you have in meaning is the word next to it. That means it's needs. Must needs. And when you stroll down and look at Jeremiah chapter 10, your must needs be born. Look at it. Go to Jeremiah chapter 10. You are a palm tree. You are a tree. your trees being cut out of a forest. See, must, not realizing that the word must in John chapter 3 and verse 14 is lifting up the sun. There's no way you could avoid it by reading it. When you read it, you're lifting up the sun. By reading the word must. You're true. Well, that means even when you thought you were making a mess, you lift up the sun. So you must make a mess. Clap your hands and make a mess. Go to the meaning. Go to H5375 if you hadn't already, and look up needs, must needs together. Did you must in the search box? You go to Jeremiah chapter 10 and click on it. You should click on H5375. What do you have? Don't you see lift up? To lift up. The sun must be lifted up. As a serpent must be. Is that right? Make a note. I'm revealing the secrets. Go to you back to your search box. We have must. You do? So what you must do? You must need, well, I should have told you, well, you can go, before you do that, go back to, you got your search box? Go back to John chapter, I keep saying John, I mean the Old Testament. Go back to Jeremiah, you remember, chapter 10. Found that. And click on, see what it said, must needs. See what it says, be born. Yeah. So what must be born? I have to show you this because what they did. See what they did is your mother, you're born is the same meaning. You see it? Look at it. It's the same meaning. You should be afraid. Read it. I'm going to read it. Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 5. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, be lifted up both times. The Father and the Son. See, as the Son was lifted up, as the Father be honored, so was the Son. That's why they're twice. Why? Because they cannot go. So be not them, for they cannot do evil. The evil also is them to do good. Mankind. That's why he had to make you in our image. Not mankind. See, you have made like us without the M and the T. Now go to your search box. But did you know that? You must make you in our own image. In us. Man. You have MUST? Separate the M from the U and the T and click that. And let's take you back to Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, so we can make you in our own image. With the must. You think it's must. It's not must. Let's make us. Let's make. What do you have? You have it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. which you thought was must. So what's the rod? What's the mess? Finally, go to Micah chapter 6. Now, I do nothing of myself. Did you know you're the branches? Wait, I have to show you that. Y'all know you're Micah? Go to John chapter 15. I have to show you that first so you don't get lost. So I said the tree, you must need to be born. Right? I have to show you. I said before you, thousands of years ago, you're the branches. John chapter 15. Let me remind you of that. I'm going to read verse 5. Actually, I'm going to start verse 1. John chapter 15, verse 1. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that bears fruit, purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Verse 3. Now, see there? Ye are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Sound like an ending. So abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. You got it? Micah chapter 6. Verse 9. You have it? The Lord's voice crieth into the city, and he did. Ma'ah. And while he was doing that, the man of wisdom shall see thy name. Hear ye the rod, and who hath appointed it? Period. No question mark. So now you know who the rod is. I am the rod. So who appointed the rod? It. Go to your search box. Go back to your search box. Type in who. Who you think appointed? Me. I'm not making it up. Go to your search box and type in O. If it don't take you again, chapter 3, verse 11. It did? Okay. Now click on where you see me, the meaning. It takes you. It take you to me. H4310. Right? So when I read that again, Micah chapter 6, verse 9. The Lord's voice cried out the city, and the man of wisdom shall see thy name. Hear ye the rod, and who hath appointed it? So who's it? You got to. Who is it? Click on it. It gonna take you to he himself. Isn't that right? G846. Now you know who appointed it. You have it?
Yeah.
It thinks he himself, right?
Yeah.
So that means I appointed my own rod, my own self. So I can show you the name at the end. I see the name. We'll name in the mess. How did I appoint it? When you got to go to appointed. Now, I've been appointed in the search box. Appointed. And this word appointed is only found 2 times, 3 times. It's found in the meaning. The meaning for this appointed. You look at 2 Samuel chapter 20, verse 5. You see H32. That's the meaning. That's the appointed. And when you go to Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 7, you should see the same reference. You got to go to the second column for that. Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 7. The same meaning. H3259. You see it?
Yeah.
Why? Because Jeremiah spoke of Micah. This meaning is the only meaning that relates to appointed. This reference, H. Look at what it says in Jeremiah chapter 47, verse 7. How can it be quiet, seeing the Lord hath given it a charge against Ashkelon, and against the seashore? See the seashore? There hath he appointed at the seashore that I took you to. We're right in Miami, the seashore. Appointed what? It was it himself. So who appointed? Now go to Micah chapter 6, verse 9. You'll see the same reference in the last column. H3259 appointed it himself. Micah appointed himself to see the rod and to give you wisdom and to give you the name. And I'm the only one who could see the name that was hidden in the mess. So what appointed mean? To fix, to meet you at an appointment at an appointed time, to meet by appointment, to designate you to be where I am, that you may be also, to be at the same place before and be fixed, and that you be here with me as you be with me with the marriage supper of the Lamb. Don't you to it? H3259.
Yeah.
Don't you see it? If you look at the definition, don't you see to engage for marriage and agree?
Yeah.
Appointment, and to meet together at a set time, to set a time. Don't you see it?
Yeah.
Appointed what? So you can be with the name. Now go to your search box again. Appointed. Hear ye the rod. He shall see thy name, right? How? Type in MESS in your search box. Take you to, you got to be uplifted. Right at the beginning. What'd you see? MESS take you to H4864, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Welcome to Shabbat. What's the meaning of it? Rising, utterance, uplifting, uprising of an oracle. And go to etymology, H5375. Lift up. Now we lifted up the serpent. We lift up the rod as in the wilderness. You see it? So the son must be lifted up, and he's doing it. Now you have to find the name. So go back to your search box. You have MESS. Now type in SEM. That's backwards. SSEM. Just type it just like that and search it. How many times you find it?
0.
Why? Because separate the sun from the name.
Mhm.
That first S represents the sun. Now type it in. Separate the two S's and then type it. See if it'll take you to the son of Sem. Hmm? One time. G4590. It takes you what? The name. That's what I say I shall see in Micah chapter 6, verse 9. And come from the Hebrew HAT35. That's the name. What name? No one knew what the name was. Sealed it. Like it was a secret. The name was hidden in the mess. The mess lift up the sun to be lifted up. Backward. Backward. To lift up the sun backward. It's not MESS, it's S space SEM, SEM, that they put backward. Why? Because you're the bottom. Judas to the bottom, the tail, not the head. You start from the left to right, not the left. It's actually right. It's actually Shem.
Right.
But they took out the H and gave you cheek. Okay.
Right.
They put in the cheek instead of the creek. Well, you should beat me. Now you have it. Made a mess. So you must make a mess. Make a mess. Make a mess. Clap your hands. Right? Come to the doors with Dwayne Wade and Mary Christ Mess. Mary Christ Mess. This is some secrets I thought I should. Did you learn something? If you don't believe the first time, they believe the last time. I mean, next time, then now when you go back, you have to go to it, but when you go back to Exodus chapter 4, where it says he stuck his bosom, I did. And it came back out like my other flesh, you're my other flesh. I gave you the bosom that sits between the two arms.
Right.
And Micah chapter 7, and I would think around verse 5 or so, it says, don't trust ye not in the God, and nor open your mouth to the bosom of the one that lay next to you. Why? Because the bosom is yourself. I'm the bosom. You lay in my bosom. Don't trust no one else. Well, I want to certainly say Shabbat, Shalom. I thank my father, my aunt, for allowing you to stay with me through this time. What else could you do on the Sabbath? Except learn secrets. Right? Well, stay safe. The world is coming to an end. It's ending. Oh, it's at the door. It's even at the doors. With that, I say, again, stay safe. And Shabbat Shalom et Lechem.
Shabbat Shalom Aleichem.
Praise Yahweh.
Praise Yahweh.